Hey folks, Pat here. I got a chapter 13 question that I need to cover here in a little bit more detail, and that's this monster, computing the sample correlation coefficient and coefficients for the least squared regression line. Now, I consider this to be the challenge problem in chapter 13. What it's asking you to do is actually calculate three different things, all right? It's either going to be the sample correlation coefficient, it's going to be the intercept, or it's going to be the slope. And you can do all of that using just the base values of x and y and a couple different formulas. Now, we don't calculate regressions by hand in real life, all right? So it's a mild form of torture to put stat students through this. But I'm going to show you the two different ways that you can do it in this class. The first way is to use a calculator that does regression for you. And the second way is to actually use the ALEKS calculator to put the different pieces together, all right, in order to come up with whatever it's asking for you in the problem using this X and Y data. Now, I don't care which way you do it, all right? So I'm going to show you probably the easy way first, and then the second way is probably a little bit quicker with one exception, all right? And so let's start with the easy one first. All right, even though it's probably not quite as fast. All right, so what's the value of the slope and what's the value of the y-intercept? So it's asking us for slope and y-intercept, so we need the regression equation. If you have a stats calculator, you can punch that all in. Or if you don't have a stats calculator, go to the module 5 folder, and there's a regression calculator in there, and it'll take you to this site right here, which is Social Science Statistics. This site's pretty cool, but what you're going to find out, unfortunately, here is that whenever you're doing a regression calculation, you need to do a little bit of data entry, all right? And so go down to this linear regression calculator. The link might take you right to it, I'm not sure. And it's going to ask you for your x values and your y values, and yes, you need to type them in now, okay? Which isn't fun, all right? But, you know, if you're careful and, you know, you just pay attention to what you're doing, it's not that hard. I've already done this in my clipboard for this problem, so there's all my x values based off these right here, and then all my y values are right here. And so we'll just punch those in here real quick. Bam, here's my y values. Make sure these match up, all right? So you have to have even number on both sides. Or, well, not an even number, but they've got to be the same sample size on both sides. Otherwise, it'll jack it up, all right? Calculate your regression equation. Here we go. There we go. And so it gives me all the blah that you don't really need to know. The only thing that you're interested in here is this guy. This is your regression equation. So predicted value of y equals mx plus b. And so m, of course, is my slope. And b is, of course, my intercept, all right, which we've covered in many other videos at this point in time. And so what's it asking me for? Let's just go over to that. And I'm clicking on the wrong thing here. There we go. What's it asking me for? Value of the slope. And so my slope is this guy, all right, .29981, and it wants it to 2 decimal places, so 0.2, that's 30, okay, it has rounded up. And the value of the y-intercept in this case is going to be my intercept right there, b, all right, so 9.15, all right, there we go. 9.15. All right, so you can do it that way. It does take a little bit of time to actually punch all that stuff in there, or you can start using some of the formulas. And let me show you both of these formulas. Now I got them all written down here, and they're all in the explanations, but let's start with the slope one. Here's your slope formula right here, okay? Slope, m equals standard deviation of y divided by standard deviation x multiplied by your correlation coefficient, r, all right? So in the explanation, not going to go into that in detail. Let me just show you how to do it in the ALEKS calculator here real quick. So we're going to start with standard deviation of x, which is this guy right here. So grab all these. Oh, no, clear all this out. I got stuff in there from a previous problem. So clear all this stuff out. And then grab these by click and drag all the way down. Make sure you get the last one right there and hit S. That's standard deviation of X right there. You need to store that in the calculator in order to do this calculation correctly. So just hit store. All right, now clear it out. Don't freak out just quite yet. Take all your values of Y and do the same thing, but don't hit store. Okay, so this is standard deviation of Y. So that's standard deviation of Y divided by standard deviation of X, which is what we stored. So recall that. And then we're just going to multiply, so hit enter now, and then you're going to multiply that by this value right here, which is your correlation coefficient. And ta-da, we get the exact same thing. See? All right, so that's how that one works. That's your first formula. This is your shopping list that you need to do. So you need to figure out the standard deviation of y, standard deviation of x, plug it into this in order to get your slope. Ta-da! All right, so next one. All right, the y-intercept. Different formula for this one. That is this guy right here. So here's your intercept. B equals mean of y minus the slope times the mean of x. Okay, so here's your shopping list on this one. You need to actually figure out in the Alex calculator the mean of y and the mean of x. Okay, so here we go. Let's go ahead and do that real quick, and then we can plug that into this calculator. So let's start with mean of y. Well, I guess it doesn't matter where we start. We can start with the mean of x. So we'll just take x, grab all these values, and then this guy right here is x bar, so that's our mean of x. Take that, multiply it by slope, which, ta-da, we conveniently have from the previous problem. You have to do that one first if they ask them in this order, okay? So multiply it by your slope, and there we go. We get 19.825. Store that. Take this, store it in your calculator. Remember that, 19.82. Okay, and now we just need to figure out the mean of y. So take this, mean of y, okay, mean of that, and then we're just going to subtract that other calculation that we stored. Oh, we're going to hit recall. There we go, 19. Okay, ta-da, there's our intercept, and ta-da, see, they match. Okay, so you can do that either way. If you get these two problems right here, let's go ahead and check that. And there we go. We got them correct. All right. Now, unfortunately, those are actually the easier problems that you've got here. Because if you see this guy, which you almost always get next, all right, and that's this monster right here, which has xy, all right, and I guarantee you this one already is going to ask me to compute the correlation coefficient, all right. Correlation, sample correlation coefficient. Yay, let's do it. Okay. Now, unfortunately, here's the formula, all right, that you're going to use in order to do that. All right. Or, and I recommend this you can actually take this data here, go back to this linear regression calculator in social science statistics, click on calculators, and there's actually a correlation coefficient calculator in here that you can use. It's this one right here, Pearson correlation coefficient calculator. Click on that. There's your equation, our friend right here, just in a different format. Okay, ignore that. Say, take me to calculator and just punch the values in. Hit calculate R and it'll give you R. All right, so you can do it that way. That's absolutely fine. That's absolutely how any of us would do it out there in the field. So that's fine with me. Okay, so but if you are up for a challenge and if you want to actually do this, all right, I'll walk you through it here real quick. Otherwise, you can stop the video right now. All right, so here's the actual formula that you're going to use. All right, so which is sum of x times y. All right, minus n, your sample size, times mean of x times mean of y, all over n minus 1 times the standard deviation of x, standard deviation of y. And so here's your shopping list. These are all the things that you need to figure out in Alex before you punch it into this guy. The sum of xy, the mean of x, the mean of y, standard deviation of x, and the standard deviation of y. And so I write this out this way on a piece of paper, an actual piece of scratch paper, and I go shopping now. All right, so let's start with this first one, all right, which is the sum of xy. In your calculator, this one, conveniently, it gives you xy, which is just this value times this value. Grab all of these, just like you did before, if you decide to do it that way, and then hit this sum x button right here. There you go. So our sum of xy is 40,000. Or 405,006. Oh my goodness. .59. Okay. All right. Jeez. Makes sense if you actually look at these and add them all up. All right. So the next thing on our shopping list is x bar. So take all your x's. So mean of x. Hit x bar. The answer to that one is 85.14. Write these down. Okay. Next thing on our shopping list is x of y. Where's y bar, so grab all these, and we want the mean of those, even though it's x bar, it's actually y bar now. It's okay, 314.266. So notice here it says carry your intermediate calculations to at least 4 decimal places. So 2.667, okay? Clear that out. Next thing on the shopping list, standard deviation of x. So here's x. Grab all these guys again. Okay, and hit S, standard deviation. So we got 9.7724. Clear that out. And then the last thing on our shopping list is standard deviation of y. So grab all these y's and hit that standard deviation button. There we go. 4.1353. Okay, be careful rounding these. All right, now let's punch all this junk into the calculator here using this formula. Okay, so sum of xy was 405,006.59. Subtract n times x bar times y bar. N is how many are in the sample. Of course, it doesn't tell us that, so you have to count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 times x bar, which is next on my list. 85.14 end parenthesis times y bar, which was 314.2667 end parenthesis. All right, you can do divide, but I like to grab this whole thing because sometimes I jack it up, hit divide, so it's all over it now. Next portion of this is n minus 1, so 15 is our n, minus 1 is 14, okay, times standard deviation of x, which is 9.7724, end parenthesis, open parenthesis, times the standard deviation of y, which is 41.1353. Enter and fire. There we go. There's our Pearson correlation coefficient right there. Okay, needs to be between +1 and -1. If it's not between +1 and -1, you totally jacked it up. So start over, son. And this one still might be wrong. And so let's just go ahead and punch this one in. 0.64650, round to 3. Right? 650, round to 3. Give it a check. We got it. All right, that doesn't happen every time. Okay, so consider that your challenge problem for this course. All right. Again, if you don't want to do all the math, feel free. Just go ahead and punch all this stuff into this Pearson correlation coefficient calculator in that you find in Blackboard there on socialsciencestatistics.com or whatever it is, and you'll get the exact same answer. Okay, so that if you knock this one out, you need to give yourself a break, take a pat on the back, go crack a beer, whatever you got to do, because this one's done now. All right, and this is by far and away the hardest problem in chapter 13. So good luck with it. If you have any questions, please ask. But other than that, we're going to leave this one in the dirt and we're never going to come back. Okay, so we'll see y'all again some other time. Take care now.